Hello and welcome to the Curious Geographer. Today we are joined by the University of Worcester to hear about their amazing geography course and also learn a bit about some interesting VR glacier fieldwork, which I'm super excited about. If you're just arrived, say hi in the comments, and if you've got any questions, just comment them below. We are also joined by a former student, which I love when we're joined by students. It's always super exciting to hear about their experience, so we'll get into meeting Emily in a second. But if we could start off, we are joined by Dr. Des McDougall, who's going to tell us a bit about his area of interest and what he finds interesting in geography. So Des, if I pass over to you, if you could introduce yourself for us and tell us what you're interested in.
Hi Ellie, thank you very much for having us on tonight. I'm a physical geographer. I work at the University of Worcester. My interests are in glaciers and glaciation, mountain landforms and landscapes, and also quaternary environmental and climate change. And the quaternary is the present geological period. It's the last 2.6 million years. A really fascinating time. Particularly enjoy mapping glacial landforms, particularly those produced by glaciers, mountain glaciers in the English Lake District during the Younger Dryas and preceding glaciation, and also increasingly interested in glaciers of the European Alps. I'm also interested in virtual reality in VR, and at Worcester we've been working on this type of work since about 2003, 2004 with colleagues including Ian Maddock. And there's no real standard definition for virtual field trips, but for some people it might be Google Earth fly-throughs or a collection of photos. At Worcester, we've long championed the development of immersive virtual fieldwork, and I'm wondering whether I can just share that with you now, if that's okay, for our latest project, which is VR glaciers and glaciated landscapes. So if you can see that on screen now, if you can see my screen, VR glaciers and glaciated landscapes is a project developed primarily by the University of Worcester, but with some financial support from the Quaternary Research Association and the British Society for Geomorphology. I think more to the point, it's a collection of virtual field trips that are free to access for a range of locations. There's 13 virtual field trips, include sites in the Swiss Alps, the English Lake District, and also California. And I'm just going to just show you one of the virtual field trips so you can see how it runs. So this is the front page, and all the links are directly here. I'm going to click on this Find Out More button. That will open up the Maury Valley virtual field trip, and they all have a similar arrangement. There's some text that describes what's there. There's some additional data down here, maps, GPS data, but what's actually of interest is this Take Me There button, which takes you to the actual virtual field trip. So I'm going to click on that now, and it will open the Maury Valley virtual field trip. And by default, all the virtual field trips open with a split screen view. On the left-hand side, I'm left clicking, I'm dragging my mouse around. I can look all around me, straight down, straight up, and I can click in these yellow hotspots to take me to the next site. Here we go. This is where I'd like to have been this summer if it wasn't for coronavirus. On the right-hand side of this split pane, we've got the satellite view, we've got the map view, and that's actually showing not a map, but rather Google Earth imagery. And if I zoom in using my mouse wheel, I can see the location where I'm at currently, and I can also see the direction in which I'm looking. So if I look around, you'll see that radar view also changes. I can navigate through the virtual field trip by clicking on any of these orange buttons, and I'll just do that now. But actually, a much better way is just to click on the buttons there. To make it more immersive, I thoroughly recommend getting rid of the map, which we can bring back, and also making it full screen like this. So the real advantage of this, it's immersive. It will work in some VR headsets. It will work in phones, in tablets. It's free to use. And we're developing new resources for schools, colleges, and it's increasingly being used not only in this country, but overseas as well. So we're always looking to work with teachers and talk to them. And out of interest, this, Simon, I'll round off just in a minute here. This particular view shows us the Murray Glacier coming down there. And we can actually walk onto it if we want. We can carry on going. It shows this huge big moraine, which shows where the glacier was as recently about 1850, the end of the Ice Age, and a whole range of spectacular mountain landscapes. So it's a great place to go, and we can keep on going. We can get onto the ice. We can look at meltwater, and due course, we're going to add video and other things as well. So I'll stop sharing this just now. I guess the only other point to make before we leave this is we've also got some great resources that you can use with Google Earth, GIS software, and also the absolutely fabulous Swiss Topo website as well, which gives us access to free maps and all sorts of old maps as well, such as this one from 1864. So there's loads of data, so many things we can do. At Worcester, this is what we mean by virtual fieldwork, immersive. You can wander around and you get a good idea of scale and orientation as you wander through the landscape. I think we'll stop with the VR glaciers for now, if that's okay, Ellie, unless you've got any other questions.
It just looks so great, and I think that obviously it's very timely at the moment with people not being able to travel, but also even just like glaciers, it's much more difficult to go on field work. Thinking about kind of students like GCSE, students might go for A level as well, and as you know, students who take glaciation for their field work, but actually even for younger years as well, being able to see what it's like and immerse themselves, really, really fantastic resource, really exciting to hear and see.
Thank you. And that's one of the reasons we developed it and made it available, rather than just keep it for Worcester students, to make it available more widely, is that there is a real perception that glaciers are remote in all senses of the word. Geographically, they are remote, unlike rivers and coasts. People understand that. So it's an opportunity to get people out there to see these things for themselves. And at GCSE level and A level, if you do field work, you're lucky. You're more likely to go to Snowdonia or the Lake District, and it's much more challenging to interpret those landscapes when the ice is gone than if you're to go out into the Alps. And Emily, of course, has been out with us to the Alps, and she knows some of these sites for herself.
Brilliant. Well, we're going to meet Emily now. So Emily is a former student who went to Worcester to study geography, and she did a BSc. So Emily, if you could introduce yourself a bit further and tell us a bit about who you are, what you do now, and why did you pick to go to Worcester?
Hi everyone, as Eddie said, I'm a recent geography BSc undergrad at the University of Worcester. So I picked University of Worcester because I just love all things geography. I'm obsessed, I'm a nerd. And University of Worcester just seemed really student-led. It's really hands-on, you'll be able to hands-on with the kit. You're allowed to take it into real-world context. So even though you've got the VR glaciers, like Des said, I was able to go out into the Roller Valley with my friends, use all the amazing kit, and just have a really fun time while I'm doing it. It's not all serious. You and the lecturers can have a laugh. It's just really down to earth, just what you loved about geography. And because I love it so much, I've carried on doing it from my degree. So I'm now at a company called Drone Prep, and I'm practicing what I love with geography as a career. So it's really took me forward, I have to say.
And we're going to think about choosing Worcester in a second as well. But what was the kind of first thing in which you were like, yeah, I really want to study there, when you were do you remember, it was a while ago when you were at school kind of making that decision?
So yeah, because at my school, it was a really small school, and I wasn't quite ready to go into the big wide world yet. So I wanted that leap up, but not too big of a leap. So I remember when I looked around Uni of Worcester, I looked around Uni of Birmingham, and that was like, wow, that's huge. But I went to Uni of Worcester, Des, Ian, everyone, they sat me down, they discussed what I liked, what I wanted to do, if I preferred exams, coursework. They just seemed really interested in what I wanted to do rather than me just being another student into the mix. And then they did so many demos on the open day, so I got to see like a drone in the sports hall, and I was like, wow, can I really use all of this? And it just seemed it just seemed the perfect fit for me. It wasn't you're just another number. They really care about you, and you could just see it from the offset.
That's really nice, and it's really nice to hear as well, particularly as students now, if they're looking for go next year, won't potentially be able to see people in person. So it's good to be able to hear and speak from hear students like yourself and the kind of their experience as well. So if we go back to Des and kind of like the big question, why geography and why geography at Worcester?
So the question is, why geography? Geography is an absolutely fantastic subject to study at university, no matter where you go. And it's particularly useful if you're not entirely sure what you want to do, but you want to keep your options open. I think it's really important to study a subject that you love. That way you'll enjoy it, you'll put more effort into it. And what's not to like about studying a subject that has at its focus the world around us, the world in which we live? And indeed, what could be more important a subject these days than geography? So yeah, I would say it's interesting, it's relevant, it's topical, it's diverse, a whole range of topics. Yes, you've got hazards and urban planning and ownership, a whole range of other topics over and above that. Topical issues that you see discussed in the news. Topics of importance to us all include climate change, migration, environmental degradation, social cohesion. As I said, I cannot imagine a more important subject to study today than geography. There are other reasons too. There's the field trips. I mean, field trips are one of the highlights for most students. And that's an important aspect. So you'll be wanting to look at the range of fieldwork on offer. And geographers develop a range of specialist and transferable skills because it's such a diverse subject. You'll be learning in a range of environments, yes, in the classroom and the library, but also, especially at Worcester, lots of practical work, lots of field work. Sometimes you'll be working as a group, sometimes individually, and that's why geography degrees are valued by employers. It's a range of specialist and transferable skills you develop, which also means that geographers are highly employable as well. So geography is a great subject, but geography degrees are not all the same. They're all good. They all have something to offer. But you've got to look at the differences and work out what's right for you. Emily told us a bit earlier about she was looking for a good match with her interests and what she was looking for, and that's why she ended up in Worcester. So you've got to look beyond the prospectus. So why Worcester? Yeah, good question. I guess we're the antithesis of the big geography departments and large universities. We've got a strongly applied emphasis. So you're able to, and that's important because it's in applying what you've just learned, you can test and extend your understanding, but it also allows you to develop specialist and transferable skills. For some people, you may just prefer to sit in large lecture theatres and think about it, internalise it, and then that's absolutely fine. We are all different. But the Worcester approach is, as I said, somewhat more hands-on. We do have a range of kit. Most universities have good ranges of kit. I guess the difference is we don't have loads of postgraduate students with first call on it. The equipment that we buy is primarily justified for student use. We have drones, we have surveying kit, we have a GIS and visualization suite. We've got several river monitoring stations, which our students go out and use and learn some of the skills that they may end up using in future careers. We've weather stations. So, I think pretty much all of it gets used by students because that's the only reason we'd be allowed to get it otherwise, I think. Strongly applied emphasis. It is also, we've got an outstanding fieldwork program, local fieldwork in most modules, that's important. But in addition to local fieldwork in most modules, we also have a residential fieldwork program with residential field courses in each year. Starting first year of the English Lake District. That's early on, and that allows students to get to know each other. Emily may be able to say a bit more about that after. We've got the Scottish Highlands Field course beginning a second year, which builds on it. And then third year students will go either to Provence or the Alps, depending on their interests. Alps for physical geographers, Provence for human geographers, and all these field courses are mandatory, so these are included in the fees. In addition, it's worth drawing your attention to 2 optional modules that we have as well. So we've got the Malawi field course run by Alan Dixon, and that's one that looks at interrelationships between people and environment. It builds upon some fantastic links that we have to undertake field work with non-governmental organisations. And Alan does research in that area in Ethiopia as well. So students have a fantastic time there. Because it's optional, it means there is a contribution required, and it will run subject to student demand. California field course is also optional. We've not run it yet. We're supposed to run it this July for the first time, but as you'll appreciate, things did get in the way. But in that field course, aimed more at physical geographers, looking at hazards, water management, bit of our geomorphology. We visit such iconic sites as Death Valley, Yosemite, and there's also time to explore San Francisco as well. Again, with that, there is a contribution required. So yeah, we've got that residential field. The small print would be destinations, etc., and financial arrangements are always subject to change. I should say that in case the Vice Chancellor's watching now. Another important part about our what we offer is the in terms of the list of the benefits of Worcester is the assessment, and it's mostly coursework, very few exams, and that's deliberate because we're saying on the one hand that our approach is practical, it's hands-on, develop a range of skills. It would be perverse then if we were to assess mostly in the form of exams. We have 1 or 2, but it's mostly practical work, and often with an applied emphasis. Consultancy exercises, planning inquiries, mapping projects. Yes, there are essays, yes, there are presentations as well, but there are a range of projects. And I think students do enjoy the variety, the range of assessment. It keeps things interesting and great for skills development. And the final thing I'd like to flag up, and then I'll pause for a bit, is we believe we offer a friendly and supportive learning environment, and that's thanks to smaller class sizes. Maybe in first year, 30, 40 people perhaps. Emily's cohort was a slightly bigger one, but typically it's about 30 to 40. And that's small enough that allows us to get to know students by name in the first year, but also big enough that allows us to offer a reasonable amount of optional choice there as well. And small class sizes also allow us to be more innovative when it comes down to teaching and assessment approaches, because if we have large class sizes, you end up defaulting to exams and essays, not particularly exciting for anybody, but the only efficient solution with large student groups. So I think I'll pause there just now because Emily may want to add 1 or 2 bits and pieces there, or not.
Yeah, that's great. Emily, do you want to go ahead? What was your experience? Yeah, can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, of course, can. So just going off the coursework for starters, I know some people are like, whoa, coursework, that's so much work to do on your own because university is a big step up. It's not at all. Every step of the way, the lecturers are with you. I mean, I was emailing my lecturers at like 10 o'clock at night, like, it's the assignment tomorrow, what do I do? Help me. And they'd reply straight away. They're always there to support. Even throughout coronavirus, they were replying to emails. You didn't even need to go to the door. The just support is outstanding, so you're never on your own, so never worry about that. But then going back to the trips and the Lake District, that was one of the funniest trips because you're thrown in straight away. So all my friends on other courses, none of them knew any of their friends or cohorts or anything like that. They were kind of on their own. But the Lake District for my year was right in October, so right as you go. Me and all my friends, we had no idea what to expect. We turned up to the Lake District in the freezing cold in like jeans, a handbag. It was chucking it down. You just go through it all together because you just don't know what to expect, and you're never on your own. You're just going through the waves together, and it makes it a real world experience. It's all part of the fun of it. So you just got to go through it all together, is what I'd say. It's really worth doing.
Was that the Lake District one? Was that in your first year when you were there?
Yeah, first year, the first month when you go in, so I didn't know anyone, and it's where I made most of my friends because they all looked at me. I was putting the life jackets on because I had no warm clothes. I was freezing, and we all just ended up laughing at each other like, "What are we doing here?" We had no idea what we were doing. You learn so much about the lecturers as well because you're staying overnight. You go down to the pub at the end of the evening. You just really, it's about bonding more than learning all the tricks of the GIS and everything. You just learning each other to then develop your geography afterwards, and I think that's a really important part of it, rather than being just chucked straight into the deep end like some of the Russell groups might do. I think it's important to grow that bond first, because then by say the Arolla field trip in year 3, we're all kitted out, we were all learning properly, we were like, we knew what everything was, and it was just a totally different context,
Yeah,
but
and
just
it
as
seems
fun.
that you also get like a really good support network as well, because then you know everybody from the beginning. When it comes to assessments, you've got your kind of network that you can like rely on and trust. And then also it seems like you were really supported by all the lecturers as well, which is also fantastic to be to have at university.
Yeah, I cannot fault any of the lecturers at all. Everyone, I was walking through the university corridor, I'd be shouting them down the corridor like, Des, can you help me with the mountains assignment? And they'd be like, come on in. They go through it step by step. Like every sentence they're there with you, like you're not left on your own at all. And you create like almost like a friendship with them. So I know other people at other universities didn't have a clue what the lecturers' names were half the time. But mine, I knew what the dog's name was, what the kid's name was. Like you really learn about them, and it's that bond. Then they can help you write those assignments to the best of your ability. Like sometimes my writing might have been wrong, and they could pick me up on that, so then I'd know for next assignments. It could really develop me as a person to then take into my career. It's
That
really
sounds
invaluable.
fantastic. Okay, so we'll go on to Des now. Just if you could tell us a little bit about what kind of courses are there. So what are the options for students when they apply? And then, yeah, that'd be fantastic. And then we'll kind of hear back from you, Emily, on how you found and what courses you did as well. So over to you, Des.
Okay, in terms of, we've actually got 6 courses on offer, which sounds a lot, and that's probably because it is. The main course is BSc Geography, and that's a one, if you've got interest in both human and physical geography, there's a requirement to take a little bit of both in each year. We have a BSc Physical Geography course as well. So if you want to just study physical geography, even from first year, that's a course for you. The trade-off is you get less choice, but then there's no requirement to study any human geography in second or third year. The BA Human Geography course is the equivalent for human geographers. So again, you just want to study human geography. Again, the trade-off is less choice once you get into second and third year. Now, these 3 courses do offer an opportunity to spend a semester overseas, but if you'd like to spend a whole year studying overseas in the current coronavirus, it seems like a wonderful dream, but that will soon be beyond it. And you could instead take the BSc Geography course with international year. That's rather than a 3-year course, it's a 4-year course, and 1 year spent overseas. And that's that year spent between your second and third year. So each of our 3 core courses can be taken as a 4-year course with an international year abroad. So it just depends whether you like a broad geography course, a bit of both, or you just want to focus on human, or just focus on physical.
Brilliant. And do you, for the year abroad, international year abroad, do students apply like at the beginning, or is that something they can add on to once they've started the course?
Yes and yes. Yeah, you can apply from the beginning, but it's also possible to transfer onto it as well. So that's not a problem. The reality is we don't always know what we want when we're starting. We're still finding our way around, and there is that opportunity to change. There is some flexibility in the course, which is good, I think.
Brilliant. And do you have any examples of where students have gone for the year abroad?
It's a new course, so no, I don't yet. But if I'd been slightly more organised, I would have taken a list. We've had a long, successful tradition of students spending a semester overseas, going to a range of universities. He says, trying to remember, Worcester State in Massachusetts, Ball State, for example, universities. Typically North America brought universities, so United States, Canada. I think there is a preference for English-speaking countries, which is, I guess, understandable. Also, less commonly, we have students going to New Zealand and also Australia. The university does have good networks. So a semester overseas, a whole year, the choice is yours.
That sounds great. If you get New Zealand, you get some good glacier fieldwork as well over there. It should be quite good.
Well, absolutely, and that's where it's all. I would love to do that, and I think my colleagues would like me to spend a year in New Zealand, but alas, it's not to be so far.
Okay, I'm going to pass over to Emily. Emily, you did the BSc. If you could tell us a little bit about kind of what units did you study? What did that BSc? What was your BSc experience?
Gosh, there's so much. Because I did obviously BSC's human and physical, the amount I had to choose from was insane. So if I go from the first year, you normally have your core modules, and I think my favourite was, I've now learnt, geographical investigations, because it taught, I didn't want to admit it at first, but it taught me everything I need to know for my career. So stuff that I'd never come across, like ArcMap, QGIS, SPSS, which to this day I say I hate, but they really take it step by step how to use it, like a user manual, but in your class. And I'm thankful for it so much now, because I still use the step-by-step guides. Then you also get to have like really fun modules. You get like natural hazards, where like in secondary school you learn all about the volcanoes. You get to track volcanoes on trackers and how tsunamis move. Really interactive, considering volcanoes are so far away. Like they just still manage to make it so interactive. And then bringing it more to home with the river monitoring and assessment. As Des said, they have monitoring stations dotted around locally, so like Duckbrook and the Lye River. So being able to go there, you're able to see kits that you might use in the Environment Agency and stuff, but you're getting it at a university, which not many other places do. And with that, you're trusted, as Ded said, with kits. I remember in my first year, we went out, I can't remember what it was, it might have been to Duckbrook, and we were trusted with like £3,000 worth of kit. And they were like, right, in your groups, go on your own, you'd set this practical guide. And we were like, oh, so putting like monitors in the river, like flow monitors, and they just really let you loose with it. And it really makes it worthwhile. But obviously I have to say that mountain environments was my favourite, Des. It taught me my passion of drones from the offset, so don't worry, that one's still the favourite.
Keep putting myself on mute. That's fantastic. And we're going to hear a bit about your focus in a second. Actually, Emily, do you want to tell us about that first? And then Des, if you could kind of give us a bit more of a broad kind of overview. But Emily, what did you end up focusing your research on? And can you tell us a bit about your dissertation? Because it's super interesting.
Yeah, of course, can. So in second year, I had a module called Mountain Environments, and Des and Ian showed me the magic of drones. I was hooked on it from then. I absolutely loved it. I'd never seen them before, and I was just research all about it, but I never thought I'd be able to use them at all. And it came to my dissertation, and I was like, I have no idea what I want to do, because at that point I thought, I'm not allowed to touch the drones. That's for like the big people like Des and Ian. Anyway, so then I approached Ian and I was like, is there any way I can use the drone? And he went, why are you even asking? Of course you can use it. So I ended up using drones to assess the effectiveness of drones to identify channel geomorphic units. So they're like your pools, riffles and runs against like the traditional survey method and Google Earth. I was actually allowed to go and help them make the flight plans, which was just incredible. I was allowed a bit of experience of flying the drone to get some pretty pictures, which was, again, just another one. And they used the Phantom 4 Pro, so it's a really expensive drone. But again, I was using it in the field with supervision of Ian and James Atkins, a technician. And from that, I got to process all of that on complex softwares of Agisoft Metashape Pro, which I don't think many other people at other universities can. So you're getting really hands-on, not only with the kit, but the softwares that follow it, which I then used in my work placement and things like that. So it's all about these transferable skills that just taking you from the offset. I've just been incredibly lucky. I can't begin to say how lucky I've been. And I haven't only practiced it in my dissertation. I was able to do a student academic partnership, which then saw me go back out to the Arolla Valley in January and August, and I used the Phantom 4 Pro with RTK to do a baseline survey in August to then go back out in January to measure snow depth. So I've just gone on this absolute whirlwind of being able to go back out to the Arolla Valley in snow, using drones in a really practical way. Any opportunity that I could get with drones, the University of Worcester provided me with, and I'm just so grateful, because it's now taken me onto my career at Drone Prep, where I'm just practicing drones, what I love, and doing so many exciting things. So I really am thankful for them. It's really worth doing.
Amazing. And I the idea that you can actually like harness all the resources that they've got as well, and that it's actually helped you get your career, which is super exciting. So congratulations on the new job as well, because you just graduated. I was going to ask, dissertation then, just a quick overview. Are drones super successful? Are they useful? How do they compare to maybe traditional research methods?
So I'm obviously going to say drones are the best things ever invented, but from my study, they weren't exactly the best. The traditional way was still the better way of going, but drones are still developing. I've done the early stage, the basic stage. So as things go on, maybe the next student could then test it more in depth if they take my dissertation out, and they could do that one step further to then go, no, drones are the best. So they can still take it. I've done the basic one, so maybe they can then upgrade it. So there's still so many opportunities. So come to University of Worcester and upgrade on that.
Yeah, sounds fantastic. I think it's very inspirational to a lot of future students. So thank you for sharing that with us. And Des, if you could just let us know just generally what else have students done for their dissertations or focus their research on, it'd be great to hear about.
Yeah, I'll tell you that just before that. You may have picked up on Emily's interest in drones there. Is worth saying that Ian Maddock has been instrumental in developing the drones, incorporating that into the curriculum at Worcester. It's his intention that all students will actually have access to drones and be able to fly them in practicals. And we're even looking into possibly being able to license them as well. So again, that's something you can talk to us about in future. But other things happen other than drones. And I'm mindful that Emily's got a physical background, I've got a physical background, and I didn't really want to antagonize my human geography colleagues. So this afternoon I emailed them and said, can you give us some examples of topics that students have done in your area? And you know what, there's some really fantastic areas, some really interesting aspects of human geography explored. And I'll just briefly go through a few of the titles. Sustainable fashion and young consumers, geographies of gender and the #MeToo campaign, autonomous vehicles and the future of sustainable transport. I'm not going to read out a list. Oh, here's one: virtual place attachment, a study of World of Warcraft players. I could go on. There's a huge amount there, and I hadn't realised how many interesting topics that human geographers are exploring. In physical geography, it's slightly more conservative than a small c. Yes, we've got drone projects. There's quite a bias towards river-based projects because students, because they get an opportunity to use the kit and it's all there for them to use during summer. And students like also being able to go out, use it, collect lots of data as well. There's plenty of river-based projects, but students also look at slope failures and particularly in coastal settings. There's atmospheric-based projects. So I don't know if you know at Worcester, the pollen research unit, so the pollen forecast. Worcester's a key contributor to the pollen forecast nationally, so we have atmospheric scientists based at Worcester as well. There's some glaciation projects, not as many as I'd like because of issues of accessibility, but a whole range of topics, both physical and human. So I do have a really quite long list of human geography topics, but I didn't want to spend too long on that. But I can give you some more examples if you want.
That sounds great. All of what you said just seems so diverse as well. So that's what is so fantastic about geography. It was what I say in the classroom, is that it really can be anything that you are interested in, and you can really go down that niche at university. So it's fantastic to hear about all those different ones, like from like the fast fashion to Me Too, etc. If anybody does have any questions, if you just put them in the comments. There is one question now which kind of links into our final question, but if there is anything else about glaciers, just put them, just comment, or if not, if you are catching this on like demand, if you're watching this after it's live, Des have said, and Emily as well, that if there are any questions, if you comment, and then I can always pass them on and they can get them back to you. So feel free to ask questions as well. But thinking forward for like careers, Emily's obviously told us her career, which massively links to her dissertation to drones. But Des, could you give us a bit more of an overview? What else have students gone on to do? And what are the career opportunities after a degree in geography, particularly at Worcester?
Okay, the great thing about geography in general, and I guess no matter where you study geography, is that it's a diverse discipline that develops a wide range of specialist and transferable careers. So it does set you up for a whole range of sort of job possibilities. When I graduated back in the day, I ended up working in corporate and retail banking. Yay! But that. But I obviously didn't continue with that at all. So people go into a range of management training programs. But at Worcester, what's interesting about Worcester, though, is our particular practical approach that we've been talking about, that Emily's been talking about as well, means that students end up being sought after by a number of employers, particularly some local environmental employers, which I shouldn't name, will actually contact us in the first instance because our students can hit the ground running when it comes to. So the theory, if you're just interested in the theory, you can get that at any university. We have the edge, we believe, in terms of providing those practical skills that students can use from the outset. So Emily, for example, was able to go and work with drones from the outset. You're still learning, but you've got those skills. Particular successes in water management, environmental consultancy, but also another big popular area is urban planning, town country planning as well. So one of the members of staff here, Dr. Heather Barrett, she's known for her textbooks. She's got an expert in that area. So that's a popular area. Yeah, we've got teaching as well as a route. So it's a wide range, but I think the notable thing about Worcester is you see more students actually, or we believe we see more students actually using their degree when they get a job. So that's quite special. Some will go on and do postgraduate courses, but it's certainly not a prerequisite for some of those sought after careers in the environmental sector.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we've got all three of us on there. Emily, you've just graduated. Any geography friends who have gone on to do anything in particular since graduating? I know it's a bit on the spot.
Yeah.
I didn't prep you for that question.
No, they're all actually doing quite geography things. So one of them loved University of Worcester as much as I did, and she's now going on to do a PhD at University of Worcester. So she's looking into drones because she was obsessed as much as I was. So she's carrying on with that. Another's gone to the University of Birmingham to do their Rivers Masters. So everyone's going down the geography route because University of Worcester made us love it so much. So yeah, we do all carry it on. We enjoyed it so much.
That's really fantastic. So we kind of asked the question about careers, and you guys have both told us so much information, and so inspirational. It's been great to hear about the VR glaciers and also about your fieldwork, Emily, and your career. Des, where can students go to find out more information about like the courses?
I was going to say the best thing to do is come and see us, but in the current situation, that's easier said than done. Well, having said that, the University of Worcester is running campus tours, socially distanced campus tours if you book in advance. We do have virtual open days. Have a look at the web, certainly, and you can download the... we've got written a guide, a little booklet for each of our 3 courses. We've got 6 courses, but each one will cover both the 3-year and the 4-year degree. That's newly been updated. I thoroughly recommend that. Alan Dixon's just updated those. We've got a YouTube channel if you want to see some short overview. Yes, if you want to see an overview of our courses there. Sadly, they do kind of mostly feature me. And we're on Instagram. I think Instagram is our main social media account. Dr. Matt Smith is in charge of that. He does a fantastic job. So we've got pretty much daily posts. We're on Twitter. That's not quite so active, but we still use it. And Facebook, which is probably the quietest of all. Best thing to do really is please do come and chat to us. Make contact. We will make time. We're happy to chat to people using Skype, Teams, Zoom, whatever. But the best thing really is, of course, face-to-face. So when that's possible, I thoroughly recommend wherever it is you're looking, whether it's Worcester or no matter what other university, the best thing to do is look beyond the website, and actually go and see and talk to people, look around and think, will you feel happy in these places? And that tells you much more than any website or prospectus can.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. And then just kind of to end, Emily, do you have any either like tips for choosing universities or just general tips for surviving A-levels, or just as a kind of take-home message?
Yeah, I can start with A-levels. So A-levels, when you're picking uni, please don't stress. What I do is from the offset now, while you've got the chance, just ask as many questions as you can. Don't go in just thinking, oh, that accommodation looks really nice, that campus is really pretty. No, go on the course, because that's who you're going to be spending the most time with. Just ask so many questions. You can message students like myself. There's loads of different online chats, open days and stuff like that. Just keep asking those questions, because otherwise, especially at the moment, you're never going to find out those answers without asking the questions. And yeah, just keep going. And like Des says, on the YouTube, if you're a bit nervous, and like I was before at uni, a bit shy to see what the lecturers are like, on the YouTube channel, they've got each lecturer's done their own like biography, if you call it, about what they do, what they look like. So before you go on a Zoom, say, with them, you can check that out and not be shy like I was, because I'm pretty shy sometimes.
That's great tips. And then you've told us all where students can go to find out information. The Instagram is very good. I do follow it. It's much more active than I am on Instagram. Any tips, or are you just looking forward to hear? You said kind of contact you as well, which would be fantastic as well. And I guess we're just hoping for lots of applications.
It's the best part of the job. It's talking to students, it's talking to prospective students. It's about the human interaction. So that's what I'm looking forward to. So yeah, please do get in contact. As Emily says, I've said, ask the questions, and it's your degree. It's not your teacher's degree or your parents' degree or your friends' degrees. So ask the questions and maybe look beyond the obvious. And there's a right geography course out there for you. Just look.
Brilliant. Well, thank you both so much for joining us late on a Tuesday night to tell us all about the course.
It's a pleasure, and thank you very much, Ellie, for having us on. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and apologies the slightly later time. I was teaching until 7:15 on campus in Worcester, so apologies for that. But thank you for accommodating us.
No. Yeah, thank you very much.
That's fine. Well, thank you so much. And just to let everybody know, next week we've just got a kind of live interview. We're going to be with Professor Chris Jackson, who does lots of kind of volcanoes, tectonics, geology, not glaciation. I've been looking at that already today. Geology, and he's done loads of stuff. So if you haven't watched BBC Expedition Volcano, that's really good to check out as well. But yeah, we're going to be understanding about kind of ancient volcanoes, and it should be super interesting. So join us next week, Friday at 5 p.m. for that. Apart from that, have a lovely rest of the week, everybody, and